This is the Transition on Atlantic Television Network. Rivers State House of Assembly has a spillage in the state. The directive was sequel to the resolution reached at a session of the Ad Hoc Committee on Investigation of the Aleto crude oil spillage. Chairman of the committee, Mr. Dumle Mao, who read the findings, confirmed the devastating crude oil spillage on SPDC's 28th Trans-Niger pipeline right-of-way sited in Eleme Zone 2, Eleme local government area of the state. The committee also said a joint investigation with SPDC showed that the faulty line was buried 5 feet underground and there was no security breach at the incident site, adding that the SPDC had since delivered some relief materials to the affected areas to partially take care of the immediate sufferings of victims. The committee recommended that SPDC should immediately commence the cleanup and remediation of the impacted communities in line with provision of extant laws. In his submission, Speaker of the Assembly checked oil and gas installations and was fully ready to achieve while the operations, which included operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, 3 boys working in the facility were arrested and interrogated. Also arrested was a woman suspected to be the wife of the owner of the facility who claimed that they had engaged in the business for survival and was not aware that the business was illegal. Suspected members of a cult gang had Aqua in Anambra State. Eyewitness said the cops caused panic in the community while residents and passers-by avoided the scene for fear of reprisal from rival cult gangs. Another eyewitness said he saw when some people parked the tricycle at the scene. Police Public Relations Officer DSP Kinga Tochukwu, who confirmed the development, said the corpse has been removed and deposited in a morgue. Members of the Lagos State House of Assembly has kicked off against the Commissioner Nominees list transmitted to the House of Lagos by Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The lawmakers said the list did not reflect their expectations and those of the constituencies. The Clerk of the Assembly, Mr. Olalekan Ona,
obsolete cold chain system or equipment, so to say. We were expecting that, it was passed to the planning and budget that produced the release. The release was sent to the Ministry of Finance for cash backing. Indeed, the procurement of this item goes through the UNFPA, who are quite willing and waiting for the cash to be given to them so that they can give to the manufacturers so that we can get this item direct. But to date, this money is not available. And that's why we are concerned. And people who are now showing interest on family planning now are withdrawing gradually because they will go and then they will not get the services that is required. Our achievement is really coming down slowly. So that's why we are really urging the government to ensure that this particular amount is released so that we can procure these items.
Salary structure, a new hazard allowance, and the domestication of the Medical Residency Training Act, amongst others. Nigeria Defense Headquarters has assured the Nigerian military has no greater priority than to restore normalcy and put an end to security challenges across the country. The Director of Defense Media Operations of the DHQ, Major General Edward Buba, stated this while addressing the media. Buba said that men and women of the military have answered a call to duty to fight the perpetrators of insecurity to submission, noting that this is their determination to flush them from Nigeria. He also said that in the course of operations across the country, troops recovered a total number of 37 weapons and 370 ammunition. New service rules may forcefully push out 512 directors in the civil service who have spent 8 years on directorate cadre. The service is sequel to the implementation of the newly revised Public Service Rules 2021 by the federal government. The new rules also introduced a tenure policy for permanent secretaries who are now required to spend 4 years in office, which is renewable subject to performance. Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Faloshade Yemi Esan, while unveiling the revised public service rules during the Civil Service Rule, noted that the implementation will commence immediately. Yemi Esan also said the rules were revised under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari while the policy is generating tension and agitation in the civil service as some directors has been sent to ministries, departments and agencies to ensure compliance with the newly revised rules. President Bola Tinubu has urged the leadership of the All Progressives Congress, particularly elected officials, to be steadfastly committed to good governance to really. The president pledged that his administration will continue to ensure that all government programs benefit and uplift the masses of the country rather than bring more pain. He also charged party faithful to train its side squarely on development and prosperity for the country, adding that his administration is poised to build international trade partnerships across sectors that will benefit not just the national coffers but the wallets and accounts of the Nigerian people.
It is an honorable thing. Yes, we are facing challenges in court, and I say this is one of the most free and fair elections in the history of Nigeria. To us, congratulations. And as a Democrat, those who cannot accept the result of a free and fair election they do not deserve the joy of victory.
President Tinubu urged party members to promote unity, stability, and progressives forged in common purpose amongst themselves, reiterating that nurturing the party should start from the grassroots level. Nigeria Labour Congress says it will embark on a nationwide strike from August 14th if their leaders were summoned for contempt in court. This is coming after meeting with President Bola Tinubu had an agreement with the union to call off their protest between the organized labor and the federal government. The Nigeria Labour Congress hinged its decision on the contempt of court application filed by the Federal Ministry of Justice against the labor leaders and threatening to down tools should the federal government fail to withdraw the lawsuit accusing the labor leadership of disobeying court orders. The NLC president, Joe Ajero, who disclosed the decision in Abuja, also alleged that in a bid to avert a strike by the labor movement last month, the FG had, through the Federal Ministry of Justice, secured an order from the National Industrial Court restraining the NLC and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on any strike action over issues bordering on removal of fuel subsidy, hike in prices of petrol, and consequential increase in cost of living, pending the determination of the suit. The Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Beatrice Jediaba, in a statement urged the NLC to withdraw the 7-day notice it issued on its plan to commence a nationwide industrial action from August 2nd if the demands of the labor unions were not met. You are watching the Transition and Atlantic Television Network. We'll return after this break. This is Atlantic Television Network Transition. Now the rest of our stories. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu has advised lawyers and legal practitioners to adhere strict adherence to the rule of law in order to prevent disorder. Kalu disclosed this during the visit of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Yakubu Michael, while congratulating him on his emergence as Deputy Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. The Deputy Speaker assures the NBA of his attendance at the upcoming 63rd Annual General Conference of the NBA, scheduled to hold in Abuja from August 25th to September 1st, 2023. Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker expressed shock over the sudden demise of a renowned jurist and Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Justice Chima Sentus-Weze. And now to some business reports. Central Bank of Nigeria has denied involvement in the pump price of petrol. Principal Manager at the CBN, Clement Osagie, disclosed this in Abuja during his appearance before the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the recent hike in the price of fuel due to the federal government's removal of subsidy on the product. Osagie, who said that there is a factored exchange at the template in which the price was arrived at, noting that the demand for fuel has reduced by 30% due to its low demand following the hike in the price occasioned by subsidy removal. He disclosed that $150 million was used to pay for fuel importation monthly from CBN's intervention.
The central bank is not directly involved in to be earning about $2 billion monthly from that process. $2 billion from that process. When you say this month, this is time for monetization, all the states are coming to share FAC. Before that day of FAC, Central Bank must have earned $2 billion from NNPC, while giving NNPC and FIROS, which they then later credit to Federation account, the Naira equivalent. But over the years, beginning from 2015 till date, that figure has dwindled from an amount of 300 billion to about 350 million in some months. Some months 400 million, some months maybe maximum 500 million. So you can imagine an institution that was running Nigeria and defending Nigeria with about $2 billion per month. The source of that revenue, or the source of that dollar, drops significantly to about 500 million. So it means that the ability for the central bank to be able to meet the dollar demand in the market has been grossly constrained.
The Executive Director, Distribution Systems of the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, Obugo Ukoha, said market forces determine the price of fuel, adding that the Petroleum Industry Act has, however, given regulators the authority to intervene to avoid the build-up of cartel. And that's the cycle.
We're monitoring the trend so that we can make the right extrapolations and conclusions. Is it a question of diversion is gone, or is it a question of purchasing power? And so one has to be a little bit circumspect before drawing those conclusions. Again, everybody looks to the regulator and asks what is our role in relation to pricing. The PIA does not require us to fix prices, and we're not fixing any prices. With the regulation, the market forces of demand and supply will determine what prices of products will be. However, the same PIA has given the authority quite enormous powers to intervene to avoid cartel building, which is why we've introduced competition, to also deal with illegal profiteering, and more importantly, to work with FCCPC in relation to consumer protection. And those are powers that we take very serious. But let me just take a little bit more time to speak about what the prices have been. So the PIA also requires the authority to develop and maintain a pricing framework, which we've always had. We review these every day. I'd like to just highlight at least 2 or 3 critical factors in those elements in those pricing templates, which contributes to what the final pump price will be. First is what the international price of gasoline will be, derived from crude price. Those are outside our control, and every Nigerian can reference this from Platts. It's not a question of speculation. Everybody will notice that there's been an upward trajectory in the price of gasoline for the last 2-3 months. And then secondly, the price of dollar. Again, there's been an upward trajectory in the price of dollars. There is also the price of international freight, which is also benchmarked on platforms internationally. And so those are 3 elements that are totally outside our control.
Earlier, the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Honorable Babajimi Benson, said the purpose of the hearing is to ensure that the impact of the increase in price is drastically attended to, reduce the hardship that Nigerians are currently facing. And that's the size of the package. Thank you for joining us. I am Valentina Lawrence. You can follow us on all our social media networks, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram, Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity.